What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, and we are going to be diving into the third man in the guard competition. Well, apparently he's in the left guard competition according to head coach John Harbaugh, but he is not in the right guard competition. And that's kind of what we're going to focus on. If you guys go to my videos yesterday, I did Daniel Falele in the morning, I did Andrew Voorhees in the afternoon, and I think you could see my thoughts clear as day. I didn't see progress from Falele. I would have liked to have seen a lot more, especially in such a small sample size. I really expected him to kind of have that, courtesy starter spot, just where he comes out and, kind of, I wouldn't say dominates, but comes out and just looks good and then gets out of there. That's sort of what I felt we got from Rosengarten. Rosengarten didn't look as good as I was expecting, but, no major mistakes. So that was just really disappointing. And then you watch Voorhees. Voorhees looked like kind of what I would expect. A couple mistakes, but overall a very solid game. And then I look at Ben Cleveland and it's like, well, if he's in the left guard competition and Voorhees looks like that, why isn't he competing for right guard as well? And this goes back to last year where the right guard competition wasn't really that open and Cleveland wasn't really in it. So we're going to take a look at Ben Cleveland, and I'm not saying start him. I'm not saying he's perfect. We're going to look at some of the critiques here, but I really feel like the next two games, there should be some heavy doses of Daniel Falele and Ben Cleveland at right guard. I think that should be where the competition is. I think having it at left guard is a waste because I think Voorhees is going to run away with it. I think we should be pushing Falele with either Ben Cleveland or a veteran, and I'm all for bringing in a veteran like Brandon Scherf at this point. Before we jump into it, you guys know One Bone sponsors all of our offensive line videos here. I have a ton of these bullet tees, and you can get one too. Get over there, use promo code ColeJackson15, link down in the description below. Get over there, check them out. Proud sponsors of O-Line Masterminds. So let's jump into it here. So we're going to be watching all these snaps of Cleveland at left guard. In the run game is where we're going to start. I believe it was 22 snaps. Only 6 were pass plays. The rest were run plays. It's just kind of this. You get this in the preseason when you get into, the third string quarterback where they're going to run the ball a lot. They're just trying to get through these games, get a look at this offensive line, but we didn't get a ton of pass attempts. So we'll take a look at the run game, look at some of the things I really liked, some of the things I didn't like. So let's get into it. So here we're going to start with a power concept, and this play turns into a little bit of a Donnybrook, for the lack of a better word. So basic rules here on power. So we're going to get down blocks from your right side of your offensive line, and then Cleveland in the pull. You're going to get kickouts here from your fullback and your tight end, really trying to open this gap that's going to form behind, I believe that's Noteboom in there at right tackle. Yeah, Vincent over here at left tackle. So we want to get him down block and clearing that out for Cleveland to come around. We're going to see a nice tight pull by Cleveland. Thought he located really well. You can see that gap kind of open. A couple blocks get lost here, and Cleveland there pushing 48 down into the dirt. I think Cleveland did a really good job of opening this gap. I think what forced the cutback was the read here. Hunter Wohler taking that inside leverage on the wide receiver who's coming down. So that's where this cutback's going to force. Let's say we're able to seal this shoulder. You can see how Cleveland opening that gap right there and knocking him down would have opened. That's where the play is designed for. That's why I'm focusing on this. But obviously, with the safety stepping up into this gap, it's going to force that cutback. But overall, on Cleveland's rep, going to come around and knock a guy into the dirt, which is exactly what we want to see from him. We want to see that physical dominance. Now I believe we get an outside zone play where he's going to climb into the second level. Yep, so you're going to get that scoop step to the right. So one of these situations where he's going to start with a 3-tech in between the left tackle and left guard. He's going to be expecting on this scoop step for Vincent to grab that shoulder. I would have liked to have seen him pass off with his hand, but given it's an outside zone play where he's on the backside, his target's really the second level defender. And you're going to see some pretty good athleticism getting right out there into the second level and blocking him and finishing his block. He doesn't end up on top of him, but really finishing his block. I thought this was a nice, athletic, physical outside zone run This is what I've wanted to see from Ben Cleveland, and you can see he gets right into that second level. If we were getting this for the last few years, I think Ben Cleveland would have been a starter. I want to go back and watch that one more time just because this really is what I want to see from him. That was an athletic level 2 block. That's something that we were missing last year, those blocks from the I'd say the uncovered offensive lineman, and it's really uncovered because he's passing him off to the backside tackle so quickly and getting into that second level. He's not uncovered in a literal sense, but just uncovered within the context of the blocking scheme. Keep rolling here. Here, I would like to see him come off this. We talked about this a little bit with working the double team. So he's going to start with a 3-tech to the inside of, again, between Vincent and Cleveland. You got the 3-tech. Colts have the 1-tech on the other side. So that's how they like to set up that odd front. So we're going to see here, I would like to see him, and Vincent takes a very strong step here. You can see Vincent almost overlapping behind Cleveland. I want to see Cleveland come off this inside shoulder a little bit quicker because the whole idea is to squeeze and then get into the linebacker. And you can see Cleveland has to work through him because he doesn't get, I want to see him get that outside hand inside this shoulder. Vincent's going to take it over. He's going to push off with that outside hand, that left hand of his that's going to be right kind of in this area. And then that right hand, that inside hand is going to start to reach. And so you just see him come off a little late, enough to take care of 50 and launch this run here. So not necessarily a bad play, but just one of those things I've been keeping my eye on. He does make contact in the second level, again on number 50. But if this is a regular season game, a starting linebacker is probably making this tackle. You can see him work across there. So that's just one of those things where, I want to see a little bit more of Ben Cleveland, and I also want to see him, get off those doubles quicker because that's really what I think a huge issue was in the run game last year. I shouldn't say a huge issue. I mean, this run game was dominant, but when we're looking at blocks made and missed, when we're looking at Derrick Henry taking contact and giving him, cleaner runs, that's one of the things that could have been a little bit better. Then we get into a few of my critiques in the run game, and this is the same thing with Ben Cleveland that it's been every time Ben Cleveland has played for the Baltimore Ravens, finishing blocks driving through shoulders. And so here you're going to see we get a little high out of our stance. We get stood up here. These just drive me nuts. We want to be to this this inside leverage point. We're kind of outside here. We're stood up. I want to see him work across that body a little bit quicker because what it does is it creates this back point, right, where he's going to run out of the block. And I don't think his guy ends up making a play. Not a big deal. He's on the backside of the run concept, but it's just one of those things where I see it all the time from Cleveland. I just want to see him take that step across. And you see right here, we took a strong step. We got to maintain that leverage point, keep that helmet on the inside, and drive through the shoulder. Said that 100 times in my videos yesterday. Drive through that shoulder bend. And he just loses the leverage point right there, and he comes out the back of the block. Not necessarily a big deal, but just one of those things where it creeps up and it can become a big deal. Again, here, I think we're on the back side. No, we're on the front side this time. So we're on the front side. We have a 1-tech here. We're going to have to squeeze that with the center. Little ace block there. We're going to have the center come off and get into that second level. And Cleveland needs to be able to drive his man and seal. And just, again, comes out at the back a little bit there. Didn't love that. Kind of gives, I wouldn't say gives up on the play, but you can see right here, he stands up and then just kind of whatever. And I just want to see that dog mentality. I want to see him drive. So as soon as he takes over right here, again, we're a little high like we were on that last play. I want to see us a little lower, a little more athletic, and I want to see us drive. And so just seeing him come out the back of the block there, it's little stuff like that with Ben Cleveland that drives me nuts. But we're definitely getting better. We look a little bit better. Here, almost the same as the last play. So we're going to have a power concept. So here we're going to get the down block from Ben Cleveland. You can see the right guard pulling. So we got to come down and hit on this nose tackle and drive him out of the way. Simple as that. And you can see right there, just not driving through, and you saw him come out the back of the block. So just very similar to that other concept. I want to see him, again, let's look at the pad level. We end up high. That butt's not sunk. We're not driving through that inside shoulder. I believe that's Tupu, who was with the Ravens last year. I just want to see us drive that nose tackle. It's just, again, it felt lazy. Like, that's really, I think, what bothers me with Ben Cleveland is some of these blocks, they're not bad. They're not losses. I'm not trying to say that they're losses, but they're just not the finisher mentality that I want in an offensive guard. That's, I think, what's frustrating me the most. I believe we get into a few pass. Yeah. So we're going to see some pretty okay pass pro. Not the best, but not the worst. Really good block here. Again, he only had 6 pass block opportunities. Like the hand positioning. So we're going to shoot out that inside hand, stunt, and then right here, one thing that I think Cleveland did really well on this rep is independent hand usage. So you can see he hit with that right hand first. As this rep goes on, he's created that time and space right here between the guy, and he's going to shoot that left hand. So he's going to start with his right hand, and as he comes back across, shoot with his left hand. And you can see right here, he's squared up. You can see that nice slanted in angles. I'd like to see him drop his anchor a little bit more, but he's shooting with his hands so much, and it's just basically a hand fight. But really, really good execution when he's going to get his face crossed. So again, right hand, left hand, square up. He's in between him and the quarterback. He moved back a little bit, but that's not really getting pushed back in my opinion. He moves back maybe a yard. That's still a clean pocket to step up into from his perspective. Here we get into an issue with some of these stunts, and this is where I found he's dropping his eyes a little bit. This isn't something that I would say has been a problem in the past. I actually think his diagnosis in pass pro has been typically pretty good. This is kind of isolated to this game, so this is one of those situations where it's always tough to judge. Is it something Ben Cleveland's doing? Is it poor communication with Nick Samac and Carson Vincent, guys he may not play with regularly, or is he just getting lazy in his reads? So taking a look at the alignment here, so you're going to get a wide alignment from the D-line. They have 2-3 techs in between the guards and tackles on both sides, and then they're going to mug the A-gaps with both linebackers. So this is something we've seen the Ravens do a ton, and they're going to run a little bit of that stunt combination. And so Rasheen Ali is going to step up. So Cleveland's going to take, you see Cleveland ends up with 2 guys here. And so Cleveland's going to take the most inside guy, because they're running a stunt. 95's crossing, 50's looping. Rasheen Ali is going to step up and pick up 50, but Cleveland sort of tried to block both. And so you're going to see right here. So Cleveland is going to push off 95 as you can see his eyes looking kind of forward right now rather than focusing on 95. He's seeing 50 cross, and he's thinking, I got to pick up both. That hand kind of came off, and he ends up creating that inside lane. So I'm wondering, in the context of this blocking scheme, with both A-gap mugs coming, see right here, 58's going to do the exact same thing on the other side. He's not, I think, expecting the running back to pick this up. But, you can see Rasheen Ali step up, and hell of a pickup in pass pro for Rasheen Ali. So Cleveland, really the only mistake he made was stay true to who you're picking up. So to give you an example, let's say Rasheen Ali on this play goes out on a concept, and we have a 5-man protection against a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-man rush. That means there's 6 rushers, 5 blockers. You're outnumbered. Who picks up the 6th guy? The quarterback does. That's how you play hot, right? So we do end up with a 6-man protection, which is fine. So Cleveland needs to stay true and pick up his 1. Don't try and pick up 2. You pick up your 1 guy. You pick up the right guy, which he did, the most inside guy, and you live with someone else making that mistake or the quarterback getting rid of the ball. So just a little bit of a mental lapse there for Cleveland. Not a huge deal. This wasn't counted as a pressure. I think, it was probably a lost block, but I think he ended up trying to block both guys. Should have just stayed true to 1. And then you get into this issue here with another stunt where right here, so 95 is going to come across and be that knife guy. 91 is going to be your looper. And so Samac and Cleveland have to work this game. So again, we have 95 cutting in. We have 91 coming off his rear. And 91 ends up coming through clean. So Samac and Cleveland don't pass us off properly. So what should be happening here is as 95 knifes, Samac has to pick him up. Cleveland has to come off and pick up the looper. And just no exchange there between the two of them. So who do you put this on? I mean, it's again one of those situations where he's blocking someone. Samac didn't see it either, so they're both sort of at fault. I would put this sack on both of them, to be completely honest, because Samac's not picking up the looper, which forces Cleveland to stay on his guy, but Cleveland also didn't see 91 coming, so they both don't see it, right? Nobody's on 91, and the quarterback gets hammered. So, to kind of summarize my thoughts, I thought the run game looked a little bit better. The pass pro, specifically the diagnosis, not necessarily the skills, I think was a little weak. Small sample size, 6 reps, but we're going to be fair because we did that with Daniel Falele yesterday. We're going to be fair and give him a pretty poor grade on that one. So it really comes down to what I think needs to happen is an honest competition at that right guard position. Give each a quarter next game. Give Daniel Falele, give him the first quarter. Give Ben Cleveland the second quarter at right guard. Let's see what it looks like. Let's give this an honest competition. That's my thoughts. Drop your comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Hit subscribe if you're new here. And as always, be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.